Ready as ever.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the Administrative Services Committee meeting for Monday, July 3rd, 2017. Please call the roll. Here?
Here.
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 Thank you. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of June 19th, 2017 committee meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Any old business from the council?
I have a bit of old business, actually.
Yes, Councilor.
The old business is our Assistant City Attorney, Tom Reynolds. It is his birthday today, so I wanted to make sure we took time to acknowledge some old business and wish Councilor Tom Reynolds a very happy birthday. Merce, you are more than welcome to grab a mic and fire it up if you'd like. Be happy to. So I did not plan that, but yes, happy birthday, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Van Buren. I think that was very appropriate under old business. Going on to new business. Under authorization, Deb Coates, City Chamberlain, on behalf of the Camden Group, requests authorization to complete a project or a budget transfer from F.1990.0460 Water Fund to Continent account to F.
Contingent.
Contingent. Yeah, that's contingent. Sorry. Account to F.8320.0440 Water Fund Power and Pump Contracted Services in the amount of $13,915 to complete the work required to be in compliance with the Department of Health. Anyone like to speak to that?
At the last sanitary inspection by the Department of Health, a few things were noted as of the SCADA system. SCADA is System Control and Data Acquisition. That's the computerized system that runs the facilities. There are a number of outlying areas. One of them now is the George Street Pump Station that we've now made some modifications to it and are able to operate manually. Currently, we cannot operate it automatically. We also got Riley Street, and then we've got a bunch of things in the plant itself. And then we've got what's called the operator interface. We have 3 operator interfaces that have to be updated to new operator interfaces. Those no longer work. We've got to change those so that we can see what's going on at the station locally and also back at the water treatment plant. So those are things that the DOH flagged on our last sanitary survey and wanted to see us fix before the next one, which will be in the spring. That's what these funds are for.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Item number 2, Susan Deary, City Assessor, is presenting a resolution to the full Common Council for the confirmation of the 2017 assessment roll for the City of Oswego. Ms. Deary?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Is this on? Hello? Okay. Yes, our roll has been finalized and filed with the county. This year, our assessed total is $1,244,649,000. That is up $8,779,000 from the 2016 roll. Although I'd like to add that 52% of this is non-taxable. $650,818,000 is in the taxable exempt. Our taxable city is the remainder. So our basic, also a few other statistics, our basic star exemptions have dropped from 2016. We had 2,336, and 2017 we have 2,198. It's down 138. Also, our senior exemptions are down about 10%. So that would wrap it up, unless you have any other questions. We are up in the taxable section by $2.96 million, so that's a good thing.
Questions for Ms. Deary? I do have just one clarification. I guess I didn't hear it too well. When you were talking about the percentage, you said, was it 67% was is exempt. What was that number in the beginning you were talking about?
Well, 52%.
52% is exempt? Okay. Thank you.
That includes, wholly exempt, pilot agreements, and also portions of our own properties that have exemptions.
Got it.
So that's all combined.
Well, if there are no questions, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Item number 3, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, is requesting authorization for the transfer of funds of $17,000 from A.1990.0460 General Fund Contingent to A.711.0410 Parks Materials for the Pickleball Project. I know it says here that Commissioner Kells is requesting this, but it is in my ward, and I probably have as much information as you, Mr. Kells, so do you mind if I jump in here? Not that I don't like to hear you speak. You're very eloquent. But seriously, this is in the 7th Ward. I know I've mentioned this to several of the council members. We have 2 old tennis courts. One has been used for years as a rollerblade or street hockey type facility, which is used a lot. And then the other one was an old tennis court that hadn't been used in the last several years and needs some attention. I was approached by the people from the Pickleball Association here to repurpose that into a pickleball court. And I'm going to defer to our local pickleball expert and ambassador, Deb Ferlito, who will give you some more details on the project. questions for Deb? Well, I think I know you're passionate about this, and certainly it sounds interesting. We do have a question here from the floor. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Becker. Yes, I'm aware of that. In our conversations, over the past year, we have had conversations on where to put this pickleball court, and there were some locations that had a bathroom but didn't have parking, and some had parking didn't have a bathroom. And
Right.
I think we need to do this one step at a time. Let's get the courts in, and we'll see how we can address the need to go to number 1 or number 2.
It-
Thank you, Jim. Oh, we have a comment.
I do. I would like to say that once these courts go on, and Councilor Cordino here is an expert in toilets, as we all have learned at the council level. So you do have a counselor that can take this to the next level if with a level of expertise. So.
Thank you, Councilor Evans.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to agree with Councilor Evans. I am super disappointed that there's no props at this meeting. I thought for sure we were going to have just a Gallagher-style box of just regular props for you to start pulling out.
Well, you're right. We should have, Deb, we should have brought some pickleball.
There you go.
Oh, wait a
Oh,
second.
yeah.
Well, there it is.
Where'd it
go?
There it is.
What do you know?
Demonstration. I guess that
Maybe
counts.
after the meeting we can demonstrate some pickleball techniques. In lieu of that, if there's no questions, can I have a motion?
Thank you, Motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Item number 4, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, is requesting a dry storage fee of $10 per night be put in place at Wrights Landing Marina and the International Marina for trailers. Mr. Kells, would you like to speak on this one?
What this is right now, if you have a boat and you put it in the water, you leave the trailer, and people are leaving them all summer long down at the marina. So at times we run into issues with parking and so on. This would prevent that from happening, especially around Harbor Fest and big events where parking is premium.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Kells? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Item number 5, the Engineering Department is requesting approval of change order number GC-1 for the general construction contract with M.A. Bonjabani Incorporated for the Eastside WWTP Dechlorinization System Upgrade Project in the amount of $11,554.63. Funding is available through Project P-1662. Is there anybody here from engineering? Or from the Camden Group?
Yeah, engineering's not here, but I can field this one. When we were doing the dechlorination project, we had to remove a course of brick, or actually a side of brick, one side of the building, in order to make some modifications to the facility. And then the conversation came about. We didn't expect to remove those bricks, but when they went to remove them, they started to fall down. And I said, we need to remove all these before somebody gets hurt. So they had to remove all those. That was the first change order. Now we have to put the brick back on. So there were a bunch of discussions trying to come up with the most inexpensive way to do it, the best looking way. This was the way we came up with $11,000 versus $35,000, just for your information, and a bunch of numbers in between. So 11,500 is where we ended up.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Item number 6, the engineering department requests the purchasing agent be authorized to seek bids for the replacement of roofs for 3 separate buildings at the East Side wastewater treatment plant due to leaking. An inspection has revealed that they are all beyond their useful life expectancies. I assume, Ken, you want to speak to this one?
So, as we got into the chloride project and we got into that whole section, and bricks started to come off, we now start to do research. Why is the brick not really the way it should be at the face? And I forget what year the buildings are, but it's 80s or something. And basically, we then start to track that back to the roof and find that the weep holes over time have deteriorated and no longer are allowing water out. But why is water getting to the weep holes? We also find that we've got roofs that are leaking and getting behind things. So, okay, we need a new roof here. Well, while we got a new roof here, let's go look at every place else that we've got problems. And basically, we've got 3 roofs that need to be replaced. They're all at the end of their useful life. They're all leaking. We could make spot repairs and try to limp along. But since we have to do this roof, we just invested $780,000 in the equipment in this building. We don't want to destroy it with a bad roof. Let us proceed to all 3 roofs, get them all taken care of. And we were able to get the funding for that by making some modifications to some of the projects we were going to do, which are not as important as this project.
Thank you. Any questions for Ken? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Item number 7 is under discussion. Susan Gentile Deary, Director of Code Enforcement, requests discussion on setting the fee amount for temporary and permanent dumpster permits. Deary?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Section 249(7) of our code references dumpsters, temporary and permanent. Has not been enforced in some time. It was spread between the police department and the code department, and so this past year we undertook updating the inventory of all the dumpsters. We had our code enforcement officers go out, document all the dumpsters, and so now that we have a good inventory list, I would like to address the fees. Permanent dumpster permit fees are $25 issued annually. I'd like to propose raising that to $100 issued biennially every 2 years. Generally, these are established businesses that are going to be there a while, and it would, certainly bring the cost into a more realistic figure, and would cut down on our paperwork every year to have to, send out these renewals. And also, the temporary dumpster is a 30-day dumpster, and now the fee is $10, and I'm proposing raising it to $25. These fees, through all of my research and speaking with the deputy city clerk, have not been changed since but at least 1980. So I think it's time to get, bring them into a more realistic figure, and so we can at least cover our administrative costs. And I'd like to propose those. Also, we are addressing the screen enclosure situation. Any permanent dumpster is supposed to have a 6-foot enclosure or shroud to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So in their ventures of updating the inventory, they've taken pictures, and we know who are the offenders, and so we will be addressing those at some point. Try to bring them into compliance with the enclosures.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I just have a question on the temporary. What's the logic of allowing
Basically, it's for placing of the dumpster. We have people putting them in the streets. We have people putting them in public space. So we do have to send our code officers out to make sure that, you will bring in a site plan, which we will approve where you're going to place the dumpster, and then we'll send a code officer out to make sure that that is complied with. You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make your motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 It's the last item for this meeting. Are there any other issues or comments anybody needs to make? Seeing none, can I have a motion to
Counselor,
adjourn?
Mayor Barlow there's got one.
Oh, I didn't see you. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah, the City Hall one.
Apparently, I was the only one that didn't get one. All right, Mr. Mayor, would you like to explain this one? Thank you. Any questions for the mayor? Councilor
No,
Gold?
just comments. I'm sure the council will support this. I just wanted to make the public and the council aware, if you're not aware, of the fact that this is a very unique building. It was designed by Syracuse architect Horatio Nelson White. If you've ever been to Syracuse, you'll notice that the main building, the Hall of Languages at Syracuse University, is a larger, grander scale design similar to this. It's the Second French Empire style. They called it U.S. Grant in the United States because it was the time when U.S. Grant was the president of the United States after the Civil War. I know that Eugene Saloga, community development director at the time, went to great lengths to save this building from urban renewal. A lot of Oswego was gutted. This was an amazing city with architecture that could never be replaced. Unfortunately, the path of progress, a lot of times, sometimes people don't see that clearly. And in the 1950s and 60s, they thought tearing down the old buildings, and even the 70s, and putting up new ones, for better or worse, they saw it as progress at the time. As we look back now, we know that we lost great cultural resources, irreplaceable. I mean, personally, if they had a war crimes tribunal for crimes against cultural heritage, I would be willing to go back and look at those times when they tore all those old buildings down, blocks of beautiful buildings from the 1830s, 40s, 50s. It's a shame because this would be a tourist mecca today if we had those buildings here. But we don't. But we do have this building, so I would highly recommend that all the councilors here, in the name of preserving our heritage, our history, support this, and hopefully we can get this grant, and the state will back us, and our local residents and the people of Oswego will be glad and proud to see this building standing for another 100, 150 years. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Councilor Gozick. Are there any other comments about this item? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a
Make a
motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 All right. Now, are there any other items unfinished or otherwise? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yes.
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 This time, I'd like to call the Physical Services Committee to order. Could you please call the roll? Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
I need a motion to approve the 2019, June 19th, 2017 committee meeting.
Make a motion. Second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, moving on to new business. Item number 1, Justin Rudgick, Community Development Director, received a request from Mercedes Niece of the Maritime Museum regarding the Festival of Ships event to be held on July 21st through the 23rd, 2017, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the West First Street Pier. The event is requesting use of public space at the Flexel Wire site for off-street parking, the use of barricades/road closure on West First Street Pier, would like banner attached to city lamp posts near West First Street and Lake Street, use of shower facilities at Wright's Landing Marina, 2 barricades to block off access to West First Street Pier starting July 20th, 2017, and would like trash containers during the event and trash pickup by the city. Justin. Thank you. Counselor Gozick, any historical tidbits you want to get out of your system?
No, everybody knows Columbus. No, nope. Nope.
Questions or comments?
I was just going to ask one question. Are these, I remember they came a few years back, right? The Nina Pinta, no Santa Maria, but were there, what was it before? Do you remember a couple of years ago? Was it all these ships? Did we have two or was it only one? Oh, okay, so these are the same ones. Those are the days, it's 20, I don't have, I wasn't looking at the calendar, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Okay, Friday, oh, okay.
Sounds good. Can I get a motion? Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Make a motion?
Second?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Item number, just. Item number 2, Jessamine Rudge Community Development Director received a request from Catherine earlier regarding a block party to be held on Sunday, July 16th, 2017, with a rain date scheduled for Sunday, July 23rd, 2017. The event is requesting a road closure at the intersection of West 5th Street and Tallman Street and West 3rd Street and Tallman Street for the event. Perfect. Questions or comments? Anyone else?
Make a motion.
Second.
Yes.
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 Any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second. Yes.
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 At this time, I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee meeting to order. Please call the roll. Here.
Here.
Take a motion to approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2017 committee meeting.
Motion?
Second?
Yes.
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 Item number 1 under old business. Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, moving on to new business. Under discussion, item number 1, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. requests discussion regarding proposed zone change located at 10 Mark Fitzgibbons Drive from an R2 residential zoning district to a B2 central business zoning district. Mayor Barlow is also requesting that a public hearing be scheduled pursuant to section 280-95 of the zoning ordinance, contingent upon the planning board's advisory opinion at their regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, July 5th, 2017, for said zone change. The mayor is here. Councilor Cordino.
I can speak to this since it is in my ward, and I was approached by a couple who are interested in buying what I used to call, as an old guy here, the Curtis Manor site. Some of us older people know as Curtis. But right now it's a collection of old barns and storage sheds that are being used for storage of boats and vehicles. But the new proposed owners are looking to develop the property, and of course, as it read here, they need to have this changed from R2 to an B2. So I do support any kind of development of that property. I've talked to several of the neighbors, and the proposed use of it, their business plan, does fit the nature of the neighborhood. They're talking about doing some type of event facility in one of the barns, similar to Fallbrook out at the college, if anybody knows or been out there. And they also will continue a storage facility. But I do support this, as I said, and this is only the first step. Obviously, they have to go through the other committees, like the Planning Board. So that's the gist of it.
Thank you, Councilor. Other questions or comments?
Just one more, as long as we're on a historical note tonight. If you aren't familiar with this, next to the middle school, one significant bit of information is this was actually the Kingsford farm. And the Kingsfords had their country house out of town. Thomas Kingsford, Thompson Kingsford, his son, that ran Kingsford Starch Factory for years, world-renowned. It was actually their farm out there. Some of those buildings, if you ever look, are very ornate, the details and the trimming. So I think it's great that somebody's going to develop it, and I'm all for it.
Councilor Gozik, any other comments or questions? I guess we should take a motion for the public hearing.
I make a motion.
Second?
Yes.
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 Item number 2 on discussion, Assistant City Attorney Thomas A. Reynolds, on behalf of Councilor John B. Gozik, requests discussion regarding a proposed local law regarding the restriction of the use of herbicides that contain glyphosate on city-owned property. Councilor Reynolds. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Cozy?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to wish City Attorney Tom Reynolds happy birthday. I didn't know it was your birthday today. And thank you for all his hard work. Again, this is like the fourth piece of legislation I've sponsored and worked with Tom on. And sometimes I forget to thank him, but he does a great job with it. And we spent quite a bit of time, about a month, working on this. And I'd like to thank Sue Matthews, who had input, other people like John Ashline, Trish Levine. This was an issue last year. I just wanted to bring up, I don't want to give our speech, but just to fill people in on this a little bit. Last year it came up. It was very controversial. I voted against spraying of the herbicides that contains the ingredient glyphosate. I don't know if you've seen this recently, but California just banned it based on World Health Organization studies that showed that it was probably carcinogenic in 2015. This just came up this week. The law goes into effect July 7th. In June of 2017, the State Office of Environmental Health and Hazard Assessment in California, working with their state government, has banned it because of this particular substance, glyphosate. Okay, so with that having been said, I also wanted to commend the mayor, DPW commissioner, because they have actively chosen not to use this chemical agent, herbicide, this year intentionally. And with that having been said, why are we here? A lot of people felt very strongly last year from the public. There was a petition with 100 people signing it. People were very vocal. Even the council, we worked to try to overturn it, and we were basically stymied by a technicality in Robert's Rules of Order, so we let it lie. The chemicals were sprayed last year, and people seen it. It was around the public pool. It was in the parks. People sent me numerous pictures. It was like scorched earth. And this is obviously a dangerous chemical. And yes, I understand, not being too idealistic here. It's a drop in the bucket, okay? To a certain extent, it's a symbolic gesture showing that Oswego is trying to be more progressive, moving in the right direction. When we look at our environment today, it's important. But we also have to weigh that in the balance and look at efficiency in city government. And the services our city government provides, we only have so many DPW workers. And I understand there's a trade-off, so I'd like to make the public aware of that I do understand this, but I think when you weigh it in the balance, a couple DPW workers out there in the baseball field with a weed whacker, maybe Miles can help him. I know he's out there every day. We'll give Miles a little more work over there. Once in a while, I see him taking a break, sitting down on the bench or talking politics, but seriously, I think it's worth that little extra effort on the part of the workers. And you know what, as a matter of fact, right now, the city is actually doing that. So if you haven't noticed, the fields look great, the parks look great, at least as far as I can tell. And I think that this would be beneficial because as a city councilor, for me, there's a priority list. Fiscal accountability to the people, public safety are right at the top. You can throw in quality of life, like pickleball, or you can throw in promoting our cultural, and historical and natural resources. Tonight we've had that with the Tall Ship Festival. So I think when we look at it here, I'm hoping that we can get enough support. We tried to make this law palatable to everybody by allowing for exceptions and having the DPW commissioner be able to come to us if there are cases where they feel it's necessary. And the council will have to say whether or not we approve it, because ultimately we're the guardians of public safety. And an issue like this for people with small children, older people that are walking on the river walk, playing in the parks, long fences, doesn't matter where. Kids and people are sitting everywhere, running everywhere around our parks. And I think that this is an important measure that's going to help preserve the safety of our public. So that's all I had to say, but I'm hoping we can get enough support to make it sent to the full council.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make it perfectly clear, just the prohibition is for what's listed here only, right? Okay.
I'm just going to say for the public record, I could just read it quick. It's the city parks and ball fields, city river walk, the lawn around City Hall, because obviously with events like our, farmers market, there's lots of kids running around. Conway Municipal Center, city hockey and ice skating rinks, the city pool, city recreation center, art center at the Fort Ontario. So again, high traffic areas where a lot of children are going to be, other people walking, and everybody. Nobody needs to have poison all over the place. We sit on the grass. People got their animals and pets. I just think that it's a wise move, and in this day and age, in the 21st century, I think we can be a leader and show that Oswego cares about its citizens and that we're environmentally conscious.
Thank you, Councilor. Comments? Other questions? Councilor Ferdinand.
Thank you, Councilor Emmons. I do have a couple prepared remarks. I know this is a very, very sensitive and passionate topic for everybody. We all want to live in a city and a community that promotes health and safety. As I said, I agree with Councilor Gozick and others that we should protect the citizens, especially the children, as best we can. However, I disagree with how we accomplish this task. I really don't believe the proposed law, as written, is the best way to proceed on this important topic. We just had a meeting with the tree stewards at 6 o'clock, who do a wonderful job of protecting our trees and the tree canopy here in the city of Oswego. And I thought it was a wonderful give and take. They discussed some issues with the council and explained some of the problems that they had. And as common sense, rational people, we had a nice conversation and agreed to a plan. All it takes when an issue like this comes up is to get all the parties together in a big room and discuss and come up with the solutions, guidelines, or policies. Common sense is all you need sometimes, not more laws. Why can't we do the same thing with this particular issue? In fact, I spoke to Commissioner Kells, who had to leave tonight, several times on this. And as Councilor Gozick mentioned, he's already on board with the intent and spirit of this proposed legislation. There is no disagreement about these chemicals. However, why should we pass a law that would handcuff the DPW? We don't micromanage the Oswego Fire Department or the Oswego Police Department. So why should we, as the Common Council, do this to the DPW? Applying herbicide in a surgical, responsible way around light poles, benches, monuments, along fences, flagpoles, or signs by trained professionals is not creating dangerous conditions in our playgrounds and parks. The state and county currently addresses invasive species this way. In fact, if anybody gets the Palladium Times, on June 28th, on the bottom of the page, it says, county officials plotting course to combat invasive species. They're talking about a little more exotic species, but today we're talking about weeds. But that also includes poison oak, poison ivy. Anybody who's ever gotten that will know that that's pretty dangerous stuff. Each and every year we expect our DPW to provide many services in an efficient and timely manner. I would rather have them, and I know my constituents in the 7th Ward would rather have them filling potholes, replacing broken sidewalks, removing dead trees, picking up brush and yard waste this time of year instead of spending endless hours each week weed eating. In fact, more noise and smog pollution is produced by those weed eaters than many cars. I would rather see us move towards using less weed eaters. And this legislation does propose that, or would provide that. However, why not look at the possible use of electric weed eaters so we can reduce smog and noise pollution? That, to me, would be a better direction to go. Again, in closing, I believe the mayor, the commissioner, and the Common Council would sit down and come up with a responsible way to address weeds in our city without creating a new law. And I do want to point out that all the laws for the city of Oswego are in the code book for the city of Oswego. As counselors, each of us has one of these. It's probably about 10 pounds, maybe 15. And every time we have a new law, we have to put it in this binder. And I don't know about you, but I'm running out of space. And I just don't feel that we need to create a new law for something that can be discussed in a common sense way among adults and address this. I thank you very much for the opportunity to
Thank you.
speak.
Other comments? Yes, sir.
Am I on here? There we go. I'd like to address myself to one of the comments you made about responsible surgical use. I would maintain that there is no such thing as responsible surgical use of this weed killer. We've been down this road before with PCBs. The science always runs decades behind the product. A product is introduced and used widely as PCBs were polychlorinated biphenyls. And the hazards of PCBs are well known and well documented, and a lot of people had to suffer. We poisoned our air, soil, and water with PCBs. The Roundup question is a similar issue. There's no way to use that surgically. Once you spray it loose into the environment, it stays with us. It goes downstream. And nobody knows the consequences of the downstream co-products of Roundup. It hasn't been studied, or if it has, it's only been studied by Monsanto and the like. We're asking for another page in that book. You won't notice the difference. We need this reasoned approach to the use of a dangerous poison, a well-established, well-studied hazardous material. Let's keep it out of Oswego as much as we possibly can.
Thank you. Other comments?
I would just mention also, again, we look at the EPA, the DEC, no, they're not protecting us. I ran on a platform, and I will again this year, of local control. And once again, the buck stops right here at the Common Council. We are the guardians, as I said, of the public safety of the people. We don't need this poison in our parks, especially around the benches where dogs and children play, around light posts, around the fences at our ball fields, putting our citizens at undue risk for things like cancer. I mean, we got enough problems as it is. And again, people can spray it on their yards. Okay, we can't block that. But at the same time, I feel very strongly that we need to be the last bastion right here, the Oswego Common Council. We got to stand up for our citizens and the health and welfare of our people. And I'll be honest with you, I stole that line from my friend over here, Sue Matthews, who was influential in helping provide her expertise and knowledge in putting this legislation together. So I just want to point that out to people that I wholeheartedly agree that we do need this law, and it's necessary because the council changes. As we know, next year there'll be new members. And as a matter of fact, I had a discussion with the commissioner of DPW as well, and I told him just what I've told you here tonight. And I'm holding my ground. Here I stand, right here. I can do no other for the people of Oswego. So if anyone else would like to speak, I'd be happy to hear, but I definitely feel very strong that this law is an important and necessary measure to protect the citizens of Oswego and to show that we are a progressive, environmentally conscientious place, just like California. I mean, New York's always behind the curve. The East Coast, we can look right to the west here in America today and see where the future is going. In the future, we're going to guarantee it for our progeny here. We need to really think about the present, and the present is now here. This is important. Saving a couple dollars, I mean, we're doing it already. And I would argue that if the DPW doesn't have enough time to do sidewalks or trees, that maybe we should look at projects like, enhancing the beauty of East Park or cutting bushes along the waterfront and prioritize, because we're spending a lot of time, which makes the city look very nice cosmetically, but reality is it can look very nice cosmetically when you walk down Linear Park and your dog's sniffing the weeds and they got poison on them, and your children are grabbing those weeds and playing around the park bench you're sitting taking a break on. We need to be aware of that. We need to get out in front of it.
Other comments? Yes.
I think one of the reasons that we felt the need for a law is because we have seen this product not being used responsibly over and over. Last year, after you all voted that you didn't want it sprayed, you were forced into getting it sprayed. And then we saw where it was sprayed. It was obvious, the big rings around the trees, the borders of the ball fields where all the little kids watch the big kids play. You know, to use it for invasive species is one thing, but to use it cosmetically is another. And the reason we need a law is after we saw what you did last year, we don't trust you. We want it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments? Yes, Councilor Goza.
I would just underscore that the last year, as a matter of fact, and anybody here can call up Dominic Pike, the former director of the pool, they sprayed around the public pool fences the very day, the morning that they opened up. Okay, totally irresponsible. I would point out to Councilor Cordino, my children, my son, and I play there every day just about in the summer. Reprehensible, outrageous, egregious lack of concern for public safety. In the name of what? Scorched earth. Everybody who saw it, the ground was yellow. The grass was dead. I'd rather see a few weeds along the fence than have to expose myself and my children, my son, and other people's children and pets to that chemical.
Councilor, other comments, questions? I have a couple of comments. I think one of the issues that I have tonight is that our DPW commissioner isn't here. And unfortunately, he did have to leave. And I think it's such a contentious issue and the multiple concerns that are being raised. And I think, in my own mind, perhaps some contradictions between what I've been told and what's being shared here tonight. I would not feel comfortable in pushing this law forward to full council without having that discussion take place with the DPW commissioner here. He's not here.
So if I could just mention, I think Assistant City Attorney Tom Reynolds could tell you that we actually ran this through Commissioner Kells. I've spoken with him as well. And I don't know, but when we put the law forth, maybe he could speak to that.
Thank you. Let me finish my comment.
Sure thing.
Then if we need to go that direction. But without him here, in terms of engaging within the public discourse, I think that's what's critical. So whatever conversations, I've had a conversation with Commissioner Kells as well, privately, but this is the opportunity to have those conversations in public discourse, and we're lacking in that critical piece in terms of information. And so if we're to enact and create a law, then I think we need to have all the players in the room to have that conversation. Secondly, I think if we're to enact a law like this, we also need to provide the proper resources for the DPW to go out and not only, well, you can't spray anymore, so what else do you need? Do you need additional resources? Do you need additional man hours? Do you need additional equipment, as Councilor Cordino was referencing? Without the full totality of the conversation, to simply pass a law and say, well, go handle it now, I think it leaves us a little short-sighted. So I don't feel comfortable in terms of in voting to push this law forward tonight. I think the prudent course would be to table this conversation to our next committee meeting and to have our commissioner be here to engage in that conversation. And in the meantime, probably have some further discourse with the commissioner about, well, if this were to be enacted, what were the resources even needed in order to follow through on the proposed legislation? So we also can include that within the conversation. If there's, again, additional expenditures that were needed, or additional laborers that were needed to come on board to supplement his operation, I think we need to have the fullness of that conversation. So on a personal note, I shared this last year, I'm not a fan of Roundup by any stretch of the means. It's my upbringing, it's my family. If anybody knows the type of business I engage in, I think you would understand why. But I'm also not in favor of pushing forward a law that hasn't been fully vetted, that we don't have all the information in front of us tonight, and that we're not looking at the bigger picture of not only the impact, but what else do we need to do in order to make this, if this were to pass, to have the DPW have the proper resources. So I don't want to call the energy in this room, but from my perspective, I'm not sure if we're going to make it in terms of a vote tonight. I would, if somebody asked me right now, vote yes or no, I would vote no on this law because I don't have all the facts in front of me tonight. Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, I was just wondering if City Attorney Reynolds could shed any light on, we made sure that this law went to Commissioner Kells, the mayor, as well. And I would argue, just understanding your point here, I would say shame on the people that wouldn't support this immediately. It appears to me to be an obstructionist measure in the name of expediency for sacrificing the public safety and getting welfare of our community. But I would just be interested to hear if what Attorney Reynolds has to say, how would he heard back, because he waited to hear back from Commissioner Kells and the mayor. And additionally, I would ask, why aren't they here? The mayor issued 2 years ago a direct order to every department head in the city, and I got to be honest with you, I'm looking around, I got my new glasses here, take them off, put them back on. I don't see hardly any of them here tonight. So what I would ask, and I would have the citizens of the city of Oswego ask their mayor and their councilors, is why are the heads of all the departments not here anymore? We're here, and I can say proudly, I haven't missed one committee meeting or one council meeting in the last 2 years. I'm here. I know Bruce has been here, but I would argue the point here is, why aren't they here tonight, especially when they knew this issue was going to be here? We have made them aware of it for over a month. And additionally, in hindsight, looking back to last year, the irresponsibility of the usage in public places that exposed our children and people in this community to Roundup or glyphosate, why aren't they here tonight? That would be my question, and I would ask the constituents of Oswego to call the city and ask, why weren't they there tonight? Why do we have to wait for an important measure like this? Because I think that we deserve an answer, and the people of Oswego deserve an answer. Why aren't they here?
Councilman Reynolds first.
Is it all right if I interrupt for a sidebar real quick with Councilor Gozik, if you don't mind? Just a quick minute and a half recess.
Take a little recess. Love your camera. Okay, other questions, comments? Bob?
I have 2 questions.
Sure thing.
If you table this proposal tonight, what happens tomorrow? Can he go out and spray? You don't have a proposal.
I think we're operating off of the assumption right now that the mayor and Commissioner Kells have agreed to not use pesticides in the meantime. So we will just hold them to the next 2 weeks that there's an active discussion happening for proposed local law regarding herbicides, and that if any restraints that are already showing, if they can be sure that that's held to until we can have this discussion.
Okay, so as long as they don't...
We'll certainly let the mayor and the commissioner know
You're
of this
assuming that, but you
discussion.
don't really know. Okay. My next one.
They've given us a commitment, so
Okay.
we will hold them to that commitment.
Roundup is known as an endocrine disruptor. Okay, it's one of the reasons why California is passing it. What is our legality if some of these children, some of these adults, some of these people come down with that? Whether it's leukemia, cancer, a number of things, endocrine disruptor. And they turn around and live in the city of Oswego and decide to sue the city. Which will have been cheaper, mowing it or dealing with lawsuits? That's my second question.
Thank you.
Can I address myself to the tabling issue? It's hard to imagine if Commissioner Kells was here and we found out that if we pass this, that our life is going to be more expensive because we're going to have to hire people to use other methods than spraying. It's hard for me to understand that you would sit there and say, oh my God, it's going to be more expensive, or we're going to have to look at more weeds. We'd better start using Roundup. It seems to be a fairly black and white issue here. The hazards of this chemical are very well documented. And the downstream is the river and the lake and other people's drinking water and other people's recreation. It doesn't go away. There's no away. It stays with us. It stays in the Great Lakes Basin. I see only one responsible action we can take, and that's to move this forward with all delivered speed.
I'll just make one final comment unless there's other comments. I mean, I think we had this discussion last year. I feel like we put a policy and procedure into place in terms of use and non-use, really, of Roundup, restrictive areas where the product could not be used. And so, you come down to this conversation about, do you need a law, or what's happened to the policy that we put into place last year? And I don't know the answer to that question tonight. I'd like to know more about, well, we enacted a policy last year in terms of, and I sat down with the commissioner, we laid out a map, we marked out feet from, certain places and saying it can't be applied here, it can't be applied at playgrounds, so on and so forth. We adopted that last year as a council in terms of a practice. And the conversation tonight is, well, that's not being followed. Well, if we're having a policy and a procedure that's not being followed, I think we need to have a public conversation about that. This is the place for that. Because I would like to hear as to why or why not that policy and procedure is or is not being followed, or if it is, when isn't it? And this is the place to do that. This is why we have the committee meetings, to have those discussions. We can't have one side of the conversation, right or wrong, that the commissioner's not here. The fact is, he's not here. And so to have one side of a conversation and not have the other side of the conversation in the public, I think is not serving the public in terms of the fullest interest possible. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But I think there's another side of this conversation that needs to be had in the public. And it can't happen tonight because we don't have all the players in the room to have that conversation. And I would like to have that conversation here on the floor. So I would make a motion to table this conversation to our next committee meeting.
I will second it.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Are there any other items to come before this committee tonight? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.